Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Locker Room. I'm your host, Brian Tull. Just looking to, once again, been away for a little while, been a little busy, a lot of stuff going on, but I'm back. Some exciting things coming here to the podcast, as well as a few other things that you'll see coming up in some other news that I'll discuss later on. But hopefully keep on following me. It's been great for those folks that have, and thank you very much for the support. Today I want to get a little bit into a little mishmash of everything. Starting with the NFL, I'll start by saying this. I think first, let's start with the Super Bowl. It's long overdue. Obviously, it's been a while, but I just say, hey, great. Love the Seahawks. Show defense is still kind of part of the game, even though the commissioners, a lot of the owners have been trying to strip defense out of the game. It's good to see that still has a presence in the game. My take on Peyton Manning, I would say, is that he's a guy that I find is not capable of, when the game starts going away from him, he's not one that's good at adjusting to the scenario. And what I mean by that is there's two opportunities where guys that we've seen, his peers, players of the past, that if they were down that spot at, say, at 15-0, which I think at 8-0, actually I'll start with that, I think they would have found a way to get some points on the board some way, somehow. And definitely at 15-0 down at that point, they'll find a way to get points on the board. Of course, the pick six happened, and then it was pretty much all she wrote at that point, 22-0. But I think we've seen this story happen with Manning before, where he has the ability that he's a bit of a front runner. When things are going pretty well, he'll put up points. He'll embarrass you in this case. Not saying he's doing it in a mean-spirited way, but he has the ability to do so. But when things get tight and things aren't going well, it seems like he's unable to change, where he's computed for that day as the strategy. Take it for a comparison a few years back. Now, true, I like the Seahawks, but I also like the Steelers, as some of you may know. A few years ago, the Steelers were playing the Packers. And a similar scenario was playing out where the Steelers were about to get run out the building. And at halftime, just before halftime, the Steelers were able to put up some points to kind of get them to feel good about it, even though Green Bay was dominating the game. And Roethlisberger and the offense were able to put some points on the board. I think they got a field goal before the half just to get some psychology, we're in the game. And the second half, Pittsburgh really dominated the second half, and Green Bay just kind of, to be honest with you, kind of held on a little bit for at the end with that big drive near the end to kind of seal it. But a game like that, as much as Roethlisberger is not a pretty quarterback in this case, he's not going to always look great when he's doing it. He's finding a way to gut out games like this. We've seen some other guys like that, Brady and others in this case in the past, where they've been able to do so, gut it out and find a way to at least get your team back in the game where you have a chance to at least try to win it. I find a lot of times that Manning, once things start going south, with the exception of the AFC Championship game, I can't remember if it was 06 or not, against New England, where they had the big comeback. But with the exception of that, for the most part, his career, if it starts going south, it's pretty much all she wrote. But those are my takes on that part of it. Obviously, we've had some big news, off the field, on a few different levels. Michael Sam, in this case, from Missouri, defensive end, has announced that he's going to be the first openly gay player. Kudos for him. Wish him luck. I think it does bring up some interesting discussions. You hear a lot amongst the media folks, as well as the quote-unquote insiders of the NFL. I do find it funny when I hear a lot of these quote-unquote insiders talk about, it could be a distraction in the locker room and this and that and the next thing. We'll have some rumblings at the beginning, possibly. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it will. I mean, at some point we'll have some shock to some locker rooms, but to say that it's this big distraction, considering some of the stuff that's happened in the NFL over the years, or just even recent years. I mean, I just mentioned Roethlisberger as one example, being charged for sexual assault, I think twice. This is just right after he won the Super Bowl, and Steelers found a way to still bring him in the fold and survive. You had Michael Vick's situation. You have all sorts of crazy situations going on. You just had Hernandez with New England. So, I mean, to say that this is going to be a distraction, I think is a bit of a red herring, but we'll see how it all plays out. It will be a bit of an interesting, situation as time goes on to see how that plays out, where he goes in the draft, Will he drop in the draft? I mean, right now he may drop in the draft, but it may have nothing, to do with his announcement. It might have a lot more to do with how he's performed at the combine, which wasn't that great, from a standpoint of speed and strength. But we'll see. I mean, the speed and strength is great and everything, but last I checked, they don't. The combine's great, but it doesn't mean a thing when it comes to Sundays. So we'll see how that plays out. Which leads to the last point with the NFL. This proposed rule they're talking about with the competition committee about the N-word being banned on field. I think, honestly, just my own opinion about this, obviously, I think is a ridiculous rule they're looking to put in place. Trying to legislate. Listen, the NFL is not an office. If you walk into any corporate office anywhere, or it doesn't even have to be corporate office, any office, where you are, it's just not the same thing. And trying to legislate it as if it is kind of a joke. I mean, what you're putting the referees into is a really awkward situation on so many fronts. Because one thing, my whole point is, okay, so if the N-word gets banned in this case, and it's a 15-yard penalty, let's put it this way, as they're suggesting. What are the odds in this case here that a white player is going to say the N-word on field with a majority of black players in the field? The odds are very unlikely that's going to happen. And if that's the case, then likely the only individuals that might be saying that word is other black players. Which means in this case, you've set a rule up in some ways that actually really is only suited for only a specific group of people. And it leads to a whole other point in this case here. Why stop at that word? I mean, you have other slurs in this case with all sorts of other communities that I'm sure would be just as offensive to those communities. So, I mean, why not put 15 yards for that if we're going to go down that road? And I think, which creates a third problem. And I think this deal with the referees now. Now it's a subjective thing. If a referee hears two guys going at it and one guy calls the guy the N-word, or at least he thinks he heard a guy say the N-word, and the other guy said, hey, and the guy says, I didn't say anything about it. How is that perceived? How is that, how in this case you legislate that? Because pretty much you're going on your gut. You think you heard the words of the referee, but you're not sure exactly, but in this case, I should say that the player is actually saying, no, I'm not saying that. So now you have a judgment call. It's a little different than saying pass interference, which, yeah, it has its judgment and subjectivity as well, too. But at least you could say, okay, here's where I can make my point in my case. I mean, we're going to have microphones right down the field to prove if someone actually said the word or not. I mean, like this, it's a heated situation. Things get said in the field which are not great. There's a lot of cruel things that get said in the field that pretty much, if it wasn't sanitized on NFL films, you really got to hear what people really said on the field. It will make probably the toughest of us blush. So I think this is a really dangerous precedent that the NFL may be setting. I hope that it doesn't go through, because I get legislation against, say, what happened with the Kobe situation. If a player says something to a referee that's abusive, yeah, there's no doubt for that. But for player amongst player in the heat of battle, how can you tell in this case what one guy's saying to another guy, when he said it, what context he said it in? It's opened up a world of hurt in this case, I think, and they should just let that be. If you want to legislate it within your locker room, in this case here, if guys are in the hallways, even in practice, you want to go even that far. Fair enough, but I think on the field of play where it's costing folks and it could cost someone a game, I think it just ends up being a real dangerous precedent that's being set. That could be set by the NFL. So we'll see how that plays out as we get into the summer and all these discussions happening. But hey, I'm glad to be back once again. Follow me right here on my YouTube channel. You can subscribe there at the bottom as well too. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care and peace.